Welcome into this week's edition of the Co-Lin Coaches Show. Again, all about our spring sports, and we're going to be baseball and softball heavy this week. And joining me first is our head baseball coach, Adam Chamblee. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Coach, obviously a little bit of a rough week, but it did have some high points and a high spot, and we'll start with probably the highest of all of them. You go on the road last week, and you split with East Central, a couple of games that you weren't there for, but you weren't there because it was a very good reason. Want to congratulate you and your wife on the birth of your second daughter. So obviously not there for those. You had a big life thing happening there, and that's understandable. But I know you were able to watch the games throughout the day and throughout the time those were going on. What your thoughts overall on these, on a game where you lost game one, had some chances in that one, lost it 8-4, and then bounced back and gave the then number one ranked Warriors their second loss on the year and a 3-1 win in game two. But your thoughts overall?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, obviously just watching on live stream, which is completely different than being there and all that, but I was obviously keeping up with it, and, I thought our guys, it seemed like they played hard all day long and had great energy, and, obviously won the second game, but we're right there in the first game, and D. Morgan did a great job on the mound and pitching to contact and played great defense, just gave up that long, the grand slam late in that first game, but I thought we were in it all day long, and, I would say I was outside looking in. I was extremely proud of how our guys played and how they handled themselves, and, so it was, I think, a solid day of baseball for us.
And you look at game one, you had an early lead 1-0. They tied it 1-1. You take the lead back. I think in the sixth inning, that was a Tucker Jones home run. One of those first two runs was a Tucker Jones home run. Yeah. I remember talking on the stream, and I was like, man, we haven't seen that pop out of him. I've talked to both of you and Coach Stewart, and y'all said, when he finds a way to run into one, it gets out in a hurry. And from the looks of it, that one did. And then they scored three, took a 4-3 lead. Your guys battled back. I think Isaac McClinty had a solo home run in the seventh, made it 4-3, going into the bottom of the eighth, and you're thinking, you get through here, you got some momentum. You're giving yourself a chance, and then, like you mentioned, they hit that grand slam in the bottom of the eighth, made it 8-3. But the guys kept going, made it 8-4. Had another runner on, maybe two runners on. We're still putting pressure on the Warriors throughout that one, but unfortunately, they were able to get that last out before any more runs could come across. That's how you get 8-4. You mentioned D, but we'll talk about the hitters first. You had Tucker Jones going 2 for 4, Hagan, J.D. Weed both getting a hit. Braden Bankston got a hit. Isaac McClinty also got a hit. So you up and down your lineup, spattered hits. You had 6 on the day. You out-hit them in game one. But again, you mentioned the pitching performance, D. This coming off, again, arguably his best performance in the no decision against Jones. He had another solid line, 6 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 4 runs. All of those earned, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts. A little high on the walks, but they were, a lot of those felt like they were mitigated for most of the time. I think the only ones that may have come around and hurt him were maybe a couple he gave up in that the 1-run inning, something like that, or I think maybe late in the seventh. I think he gave a couple there that came around as well too. And then Jaden Duncan, 1 1/3, 2 hits, 4 runs, all earned, 3 walks there, and both of them gave up 1 home run each as well too. So lines that you look at them, maybe you say those aren't great, but those aren't terrible lines either.
Right. Yeah. D was great till the seventh, and really, a lot of people would think, well, maybe he's a little tired, which his pitch count was great at that point. Just, I don't know, just stuff kind of got away a little bit, which, I knew, and I think our coaching staff knew that with the offense that East Central has and the success they've had there, it's going to be tough to hold these guys down for 9 innings. So, you would hope that we could have scored some more runs early to kind of put them away in a sense, and we weren't completely able to. And then, like I said, the grand slam. But, 9 innings with that team that's hitting, I think roughly 350 as a team is going to be tough to hold them down. And then the starters got to do a great job, which D did. But then also the bullpen's you just got to really, really hold those guys down the whole time, and it's never going to be easy.
Right.
So
I think anytime when you get to about that third or maybe fourth time through the lineup, and you know
That's when
you've kind of
yeah.
thrown the kitchen sink at them, you're going, I don't know if I've got anything else left to fool them, but
Yeah.
we're going to give it our best shot. And I think that may have been the case there. You know, that may have been it was about the third or fourth time through the lineup, and you know they had seen everything D could throw at them, so
Yeah.
you know they knew what to wait for and what to look for, and that was kind of the byproduct of that. But again, you go to game 2. And your guys bounce back, and you're. I think you got to be wondering a little bit because it's a 1-0 game. It was scoreless through the first 3, and then it's 1-0 after the bottom of the 4th, and you're just thinking like, you know, we've managed to find a way to get some guys on, just can't push them across, and you're going, are we going to drop a 1-0? Even if you drop a 1-0 game to the number 1 team in the nation, you're going, hey, they only beat us by 1, but then the 7th inning happened. You tied it up on a Braden Bankston. I think he was looking for a sack bunt there. Ended up being a fielder's choice. And then later in the inning, you load the bases. I think there's 2 outs at that point. They throw the ball around in the field. 2 base error, scores 2. That's how you get 3. And then Kobe just comes in and he just throws darts and gets them 1, 2, 3 in the bottom of the 7th. That's how you get that one. But your thoughts on how the guys were able to rebound and pull off that win?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a huge win, especially when, you know, the crazy thing is we struck out 14 times in that game and won. You know, I don't know how many times that happens, you know, which you're facing Luke Cooley, left-hander for East Central. That's a really, really good arm, and he did his job. But, you know, like you said, guys kept battling. They walked a couple in that last inning, and then basically a safety squeeze situation with Bankston. He gets it down. We score the run, and then 2 outs, bases loaded, and Sawyer Dunn does really what obviously a base hit would have been great, but he puts the ball in play and on the ground, and he's a good runner and kind of forces them to make a play, and they don't. And there's the 2 runs to make it 3-1. So, you know, another game that we just kept playing in, and Galat gave us obviously a great performance and was able to hold them down enough. I mean, you just look at it, it was Galat versus Cooley in a pitching duel, you know, and obviously we were really happy to come up on the positive side of the scoreboard there. But, you know, I just think it shows that our guys are tough and just going to continue to play, and thankfully it went our way.
Yeah, I think I told somebody, I said in a bit of irony, everybody who touched a bat except for Sawyer Dunn struck out in that game for us. Yeah. And Sawyer, you know, he goes technically 0 for 1 because it is an error, but as you mentioned, you know, Sawyer's very good at putting the ball in play and putting pressure in because he gets down the line quick. Yeah. You know, that's something that a lot of our guys, I think, pride themselves in, is getting down the line and forcing some pressure there. And if you look at the pitching lines, you mentioned it. Luke Cooley started for East Central. He had 10 strikeouts. They had 14 as a team. Kobe had 7 of the 42 outs that are made in a 7-inning ball game. Half of them were via the strikeout. So it was a good pitching display, I think, across both of them. But by far, probably, I think this is probably one. You can make an argument this is one of Kobe's best starts, if not his best start of the year. Set a complete game win, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. You know, he went toe-to-toe with arguably one of the best arms in the conference and was able to get the win.
Yeah, really good to see. And he's done that week in and week out, and you know he's going to give you a chance every single time. So that's the good thing about, you know, dropping a tough one in the first game. We know that game 2, I think our guys know, all right, Galat's on the mound. He's going to give us a chance. We score a couple runs. We got a chance to beat anybody. So they can always get up for that, and you know we were able to. Right,
and then you go up to Delta this past Friday. I almost said Saturday, but it was Friday. Again, they played on Friday for the Easter holiday and those kind of things. And you look at that one, and this is a doubleheader where you kind of scratch your head because you go, we got swept. Had chances to win both, just couldn't find a way to push those runs across that we needed. And you kind of gave some runs away early in both of them as well, too. And that is really maybe the difference there as well, too. But your thoughts overall on that doubleheader?
You know, it was a really weird day, I thought. It was just, you know, first of all, credit to Mississippi Delta. I thought they played really, really well all day. I mean, I thought they outplayed us all day in every aspect. Not to demean our guys, but they just played really well. And, you know, in a tough atmosphere or tough place to play in a sense. You know, it's their home field. They're used to it. We hit, I don't know how many balls hard right at people on the whole day, you know, but you can blame that, but I don't think that was not ultimately why we lost. We didn't pitch it well enough. We didn't, we did hit some balls hard. We didn't swing it bad, but there were some innings that we did swing it bad or had some very easy outs. But I don't know, just a weird one. It just seemed like nothing was going our way that day, and that's not an excuse. That's just realistically how I felt like it went. And once again, though, they played their tails off. They competed well. Not that our guys didn't. That big time credit to them.
Right. Yeah, and you look at both of these in the first game. Delta scores 3 in the second to take 3-0 lead. Scores 1 in the fourth, 1 in the fifth. They're up 5-0, and then the boys score 1 in the eighth, make it 5-1, 3 in the ninth, and really put some pressure on them. And in the first game, you got the bases loaded with 2 outs. So, you've got the tying run at third, the go-ahead run at second. You just got to find a way to put a ball through the infield. And unfortunately, a ground out ends the game for you. And that's how that one ends. So, that feels maybe it stings a little bit more knowing, hey, we put ourselves in a position. We just got to find a way to get that ball, find a way to get that hit.
Yeah.
And, again, you mentioned it. Wasn't maybe, I think game 2 we struggled to find hits. And this one you had 9 hits. You had 2 from Jordan McKenzie, 1 from Bankston, 1 from Tucker, 1 from Hagan. You're spread out all over the place. 2 from J.D., Weed. So, up and down in your lineup, the lineup produced. It just, you couldn't, the old adage, you want to hit it where they ain't. And unfortunately, we didn't hit it where they ain't. We hit it where they were. So, I think offensively, game 1, again, the runs don't show how well you hit the ball, and even you mentioned that. But then you look at the pitching lines. You start Tyler Ferguson in this one. He only goes 1 inning, gives up 3 runs, all of them earned on 2 walks, had no hits and no strikeouts. And it's kind of a head-scratching line. You look at it and you go, he gave up 3 runs but didn't have a hit. And it really was the second inning. He went out there, looked really good in the first inning. I thought in the second inning he just, he gave up the walks. I think had a couple of hit by pitches, and that's really what kind of led to everything kind of snowballing on him. And, I think Tyler is I think I talked to Coach Stewart yesterday, and I said, what happened there? Because, I think you could have gone either way with Tyler or Andon. Andon ends up coming in and pitches really well. We'll talk about that in a second. But, he told me, he said Tyler just couldn't get a slider working. And, that's one thing, when Ferg's got a slider working, it's really good. And when it's not, you end up with something like that. And I think for Tyler, you just got to look and go, hey, it just wasn't your day. You just got to flush it, move on, go on, and there's going to be more chances. You're going to have other opportunities. That just so happens. Hey, sometimes that's just baseball.
Right.
But you also look at the other lines. Andon Bolin, 5 2/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 1 strikeout. Lucas Harrington pitched a third of an inning. No hits, no runs, gave up 3 walks, had a strikeout. Sam Thomas comes in, gives you a sparkling inning of relief. No hits, no runs, nothing. He faced his 3 batters and got out. So I think if you look at it, again, Tyler Ferguson's line doesn't look that great, but it's not a terrible line. And then you look at the other 3, and they came out and pitched well for you as well too.
Yeah. Now, like you said, it was not Ferg's best stuff, but we felt like he was the right guy to go to on that day, and it just didn't have it, and you got to go to somebody else. And thankfully, Bolin came in and gave us a shot there and did his job, and the rest of the guys as well. So, we, like you said, we were right there in that last inning, and I don't know if you saw it, but the ball that BB hit off the bat, you're like, man, that's going to get up the middle, and the pitcher just sticks his glove down at the right time and fields it and flips it to first base. But you're 1 hit away, and I told our guys after that, the fact that, because their starter did a really good job, Mississippi Delta's starting pitcher. I mean, he was lights out. He had everything working. He competed well. But we continued to battle and showed that, hey, we're not going to go away easy, and we were tough towards the end and had a chance to tie it and take the lead. But I don't know, another ball that we hit fairly hard that turns into an out. Right. Just kind of a tough day.
Yeah, and game two, I feel like is the one where you look at it and go, we didn't hit the ball very well in this one at all. I was following along because softball was playing a doubleheader as well too, and every time I looked up, it was like, oh, we hit 3 ground balls for outs. Or then the next inning, it's like, oh, we hit 3 lasers, and they were able to catch them. Those kind of things. It just felt like it was a game where 1 inning we looked, like we were going to square some up, and again, we didn't hit it where they ain't. We hit it where they are, kind of thing. You only had 3 hits in this one. Those coming from Tucker Jones, Braden Evans, and Isaac McClinty. And then the pitching lines, you look at this one, Connor Pittman, not a terrible line, a line that you're used to seeing out of Connor. 5 innings pitched. He gave up 7 hits, so, gave up more hits than what you'd like to see him. But still, 2 runs, only one of those earned, a walk, 4 strikeouts. Jaden Duncan comes in, gives you an inning of scoreless, hitless relief. So, from a pitching perspective, I don't – you look at those and go, those guys can't do anything more than what we just asked them to do because they came out and did what we expect them to do.
Yeah. I mean, obviously – a low-scoring game and a chance if you're able to score some runs, then you probably win the game. They did hit Pittman a little more than I would have thought they might have. But sometimes it is that way. And once again, credit to them. They swung the bat well. They hit it where we weren't. We hit it where they were. It was just another kind of tough game. So I think one thing they did well was they threw strikes and they made us earn it. Mm-hmm. And like you mentioned, some of our innings were hit hard right at somebody. And you controlled what you can control mm-hmm. as a hitter. You put a barrel on it, that's all you can do. But the next inning, it was like weak, and 3 easy outs, and they just pitched to contact and made us earn it, and it just didn't go our way. Right. So, it really, really tough one to swallow, especially when things are going – you feel like things are going really, really well, and you kind of get punched in the mouth in a big-time setback, you feel like. But that's baseball, and we got to, it's a long season, and you can't harp on one day and then let that set back the rest of the season. So we're just trying to move forward.
Yeah, it's tough to say that sometimes, but sometimes really that's just baseball. You hear that phrase and you go, but how do you say that and get away with it? Baseball's a weird sport. Yeah. Sometimes, not always the most talented team's going to win it. Yeah. I tell people all the time, I say baseball's probably the most team-oriented sport where you can have, on paper, you can have the best team. On the field, you can have the best team. And sometimes they're just not going to win. Sometimes that other team's just going to find a way. And that's what, allows, I think that's what is beautiful about baseball, too, is again, not every time is the best team going to go out there on the field and win it. But unfortunately, we've got to talk about this doubleheader against Pearl River. And I say unfortunately because you look at the 2 score lines and there's not a lot of bright things. I think there were some moments of some flashes of brightness that you might could talk about. But a doubleheader where you lost game 1, 16-1, game 2, 9-0. Briefly, just your thoughts on this one. Again, a day where you can look at it and go, it just wasn't a good day for the Wolves.
Yeah, obviously they're super talented. I mean, there's no, that's not boosting them. That's just being real. Mm-hmm. They're extremely talented. I think they have a legit chance to win a national championship. I mean, I don't know that there's another NJCAA Division II team that will be more talented than them. I don't think there's one out there. So you got your hands full going into the day, but hope that. I know we're better than what the score showed. I know that 100%. Right. I did not expect to lose the way we lost or be dominated the way we were, but it did happen. And, they swung it really, really well. They pitched it well. Just a day for us that it seemed like everything we threw up there got hit really, really hard. And we just got to get better on the pitching side of things. But like you said, not a whole lot to talk about in this one.
Right. I think I said it on the stream yesterday. There's very few teams at our level. When you pull up their roster and you look at it and you go, okay, D1 transfer, D1 transfer, D1. He's got 6 of them and they're all in the lineup. And you're going, man, that's tough. And then he's got 3 or 4 others, I think, signed D1s out of high school, didn't make it to those Division I schools, came to Pearl River. So, when you're facing a team like that, the odds are stacked against you. And, you go into it, but you still got to play it and you still give it your best effort. And like I said, there were some moments, some flashes of brilliance. Yeah. I think you had several balls that the guys squared up. Mm-hmm. Again, they just found a glove, especially in game 2. You look at J-Mac, Jordan McKenzie hits one down the third base line, and you're thinking, oh, that's going to get through. And Katsaboulis makes a great play on there and throws him out, and you're just like, man, it's just not your day when things like that happen. J.D. Weed hits that line into a double play, squares one up. He squared 2 up in that game, too. hit one to the left fielder that I was like, oh, the left fielder's going to be burned on that one, and he makes it. And again, lines in that double play. I think that was in the 6th inning when you maybe had some things rolling, and that stopped some momentum there. You even saw Sawyer Dunn put a good bat on one at one point, got down the line.
Yeah.
With the way the wind was carrying, I was like, that might have a chance, but the left fielder was able to make a play on that one. So, just a day where you look at it and go, yeah, there's some things we can circle and we can grow on. We can work with those things, but overall as a day, you flush it, forget it, move on. Again, like you mentioned a second ago, you can't focus on one day and let it ruin the season. Like I said, you still got yesterday was 25. Now you still got 24 days left in the season, and everything that you want is still right in front of you. You still got a chance to get into those best of 3 play-in series. You get there, you give yourself a fighter's chance, and anything can happen when you get in postseason, especially in baseball. But we talked about it before the show. I think it's important to highlight you had a couple of relievers in Craig Bass and Co-Lin Flynn in Game 1. I thought they came out and did really well. It was the first time Craig's pitched this year, and I thought he did give up 3 runs, but I thought it. He did a great job on the mound, and I thought Caleb Flynn got the best bat in their lineup, got him to strike out. Hollis Porter, we couldn't retire him all day. Caleb Flynn got him to strike out. So you're going, hey. There's nothing. When I get a guy like that who's now been the 3 or 4 time player of the week, hits 700 in a week, arguably one of the best bats in the nation, you get him to strike out and really fooled him on a really good off-speed pitch. You feel good about that outing. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, and then those two, you look at them, they did well. And again, you look at Game 2, you look at this one, Kobe Galat pitched in Game 2. The stat line looks a little bit better than it did yesterday. We had to go back and do some revisions, but 4 innings pitched, 5 runs, only one of those earned. You look at this one, and in Game 2, it really felt like you had some chances here. You left them loaded in an inning. You had runners on. They ran a safety squeeze where you had an error at the plate on the play and those kind of things. So there for a little bit. It was only 2-0, and you 3-0 at worst, and you had the bases loaded, and you had a chance to really score some runs. And if you felt like maybe if you could have scored some there, put some pressure on them, who knows what happens in Game 2. But again, you look at these and you go, yeah, they happen, but we're just going to move on from them, and then we're going to go ahead and go in and we'll preview this upcoming weekend. You're going to go to Itawamba. Yeah. That's a tough trip, but it's still one that you got to make. You go play up at Fulton. You go play the Indians. And you also kind of look at the schedule going ahead, and you say it does get a little bit easier from here on out. Nothing is an automatic in this league in baseball, but you do look at it and go, it feels like you kind of gotten through the toughest grind of the season, and going forward, it feels like, hey, we've got a lot of winnable games ahead of us, starting with this Saturday. What do you know about the Indians going into this one?
I think they've had their ups and downs as well throughout the season. Not as just on paper, record-wise and all that, obviously not what they have been in the past. I think they're down a little bit offensively, but they're going to be tough. They're still fighting for a playoff spot. They're below us right now, but they still have a shot if they play well. And I kind of got, I heard that their best arm is supposed to be back just in time for us, so that's convenient for them. So he'll be a tough one if he does pitch, which from what I've heard he's supposed to. So, just another opponent that you mentioned winnable. We do have winnable games coming up. We just got to find a way to continue to play and win those games and do what we want to do, which is just get in the playoffs and give ourselves a shot. So we'll see how those go.
So lots of exciting things happening for the Wolves. Again, a little bit of a tough week, but the highlight is you did split with the previously #1 team in the nation, then dropped a couple after that, and then again this upcoming Saturday they will go to Itawamba, play against the Indians. 2 and 5 on those game times. We'll give you all the stream information on Saturday when we have all that. Again, we'll give you all that information, and then we'll have the softball team here hosting Itawamba that day. We'll have that one on stream for you. Speaking of softball, we're going to talk to Coach Howard here after the break. Stick with us for that talk and find out how the Lady Wolves did last week. Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. And as promised, joining me is our softball head coach, Meleah Howard. Coach, thanks for joining me.
It's always a pleasure.
And, Coach, obviously another week where the Lady Wolves swept through a couple of division opponents. You got another sweep over a nationally ranked opponent in the early games. Back on March 27th, you hosted East Central. East Central jumping up into the top 10, number 9 coming into this one. And this is a team the last couple of years you kind of struggled with. We talked about it 2 years ago. They came over here. We had just been crowned as the number 1 team in the nation. They handed us first loss in conference play, and you were able to get a split in that one. Then last year you go over there, and those are 2 games that you absolutely battled for. Game 1 was an extra inning affair. You won that one. Game 2, you won that one, but it took a long time to play that game 2. I think it was like 13-11. Everything kept leaving the yard. So this is a team that you don't want to say hesitant, but you're going into a dogfight when they come in, and to get a sweep over them, it has to feel really good. But your thoughts overall on that sweep?
Well, like you said, we knew it was going to be a tough battle. East Central's always scrappy. They're going to hit well. They're going to have good at bats. They're going to pitch it well. They're going to defend it well. So it was definitely intense going into that game, but our girls showed up and just did what they've been doing, and I'm proud of them.
And you look at Game 1, and in Game 1, the girls really set the tone early. They scored 3 runs in the first, gave us 3-0 lead. You scored 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and 5-0. And you don't want to say you feel like you're cruising, but you feel really good. Got 5-0 lead after the first 3 innings, and you're thinking, we're going to find a way to keep scoring. And then the scoring kind of stopped for a little bit. They were able to score a couple of runs in the 5th, made it a little bit tighter, but then they made the mistake of pitching to AG in a situation where I think a lot of teams probably would have walked her, and it paid off for us. She hit a 3-run home run, and that's where you get 8-2 from. And you look at this one, and again, you had 6 hits in this one. For the first time in a while, Madison Moak doesn't get a hit in this one, but she still got you 2 RBIs. AG had 2 hits. Taylor Efferson had a hit. Zykeria Cole had a hit. Kenley Ainsworth had 1. Carson Huey had 1. So AG was your leading hitter in this one. But again, another game where you saw your lineup really produce top to bottom. You had hits from the whole from every spot in the line, or from every area of the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, not as many hits as we would have liked, but I'm not sure how many walks we had, but I know we had some really good at bats. And that's helped produce runs.
Yeah, 9 walks drawn in Game 1.
So, yeah, we were very patient at the plate, had good at bats, and that's what I challenge them to do every single time they go to the plate is go up there and compete and have a good at bat every single time.
So you look at the stat line. Kara throws in this one, gets you a complete game. 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, 5 walks, 2 strikeouts. So, you talked about how patient our girls were at the plate. It seemed like theirs were too. They didn't chase a lot of those rise balls, those higher pitches that you're used to being able to get some players out on. So, a game where Kara got the win, but it felt like maybe she had to work for it a little bit more than she has in the last couple.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the strike zone was equally tight on both sides. So that's a little bit challenging for the pitchers, but defense had her back, and that's what they got to do, especially if the umpire is going to be tighter than most. So I think that's why you see more walks in this game, is the zone was a little bit tighter, but Kara battled through it, and defense had her back.
So, and then you go to Game 2, and you look at this one, and it's 6-5, and this was one of those that we talked. This was a back and forth affair. The girls scored 1 in the second, so you're up 1-0, and then East Central scores 2 in the 4th. They're up 2-1, and then the big inning, the big hit, the biggest hit, the grandest hit of them all in this game. Zykeria Cole comes up after they had walked. I think they intentionally walked AG early in this inning to get to further in the lineup, but Zykeria makes them pay for it. Hits a grand slam, gives you a 5-2 lead at that point. They answer right back. They have a 3-run home run in the top of the 5th, makes it 5-5, and then in the bottom of the 5th, I think it was a walk maybe or some the bases were loaded.
Bases loaded walk, yeah.
and you get the game-winning run there, 6-5, because no score in the 6th or the 7th. But you look at this one, 2 hits from Moak, 2 hits from Cole, 2 hits from Carson Huey. That represents all 6 hits you had. But another game where you drew 8 walks in this one. So in a doubleheader, 17 combined walks. That's going to be a recipe for success no matter what.
Absolutely.
So you look at the pitching lines. Keegan McCorkle in this one, I thought she was really strong for this one. 4 innings pitched. She got the no decision, 2 hits, 4 runs, all earned, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. And the 6 strikeouts, it felt like every one of them was huge, and she got really fired up every time she was able to get a strikeout. You brought in Carly Rouse, and this is Carly. The week before, you brought her in every time she was able to perform for you and do some flawless things for you. This one, she was the one who gave up the 3-run home run, but you look at her line, 2/3 of an inning pitched, 1 hit, Only one run, it was earned. The other 2 runs were from Keegan. 2 walks, 1 strikeout. So a little bit of a rough outing for her, but one, I know you talked to her. I heard you talk to her after the game. You hey, flush it. It just wasn't your day. And she was like, yes, ma'am. That's, so that's the attitude you love to see out of your relief
Well, we had
pitcher.
to have that talk with, just saying, hey, every time you go out there, it's not going to be lights out.
Right.
Sometimes it's going to be a little challenging. Sometimes it's not going to go your way. And you just got to flush it and move on.
Yeah. Sometimes the batter's going to poke a bat out there, and you're going to watch it go over the fence. But again, that's a teaching moment as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you bring in Kara. She gets the win, so she gets both wins in this one. Got the win in relief. 2 1/3 innings of scoreless, hitless relief, and 2 strikeouts. And this is multiple times now you've seen where you've brought Kara in after a game 1. It is almost like when you bring her in relief in a game 2, for some reason she's better in that situation. I don't know if she just gets stronger or she just goes, I have full confidence in myself and my teammates, but this is multiple times now where we've seen her come in relief and it's been great.
Kara does what she does. She gets out there and she is all business. But I think she knows, hey, if coach is coming to me to come back in this game, I got to go in and do my job, and help my team get this win. And she's done that. And, we know what we're going to get when she goes out there. She's consistent. Defense knows what they're going to get with her, so they're prepared. And I don't know. It's like she catches her second wind.
So, and then you go forward to this past Friday. You welcome Delta down here to Weston, and you sweep that one. You pitch 2 no-hitters, 9-0, 10-0 in those games. Your thoughts overall on this sweep?
Mississippi Delta, we knew they were going to come in and be competitive because they've had some really tight games with some good teams this year. And it was a little bit of a challenge. They had a lefty throwing that was a little bit of a different speed for us and a different look. So it took us a couple innings to adjust. But once we did, they got on it and we did what we had to do, scored the runs, and our pitching was lights out. So
you look at this one, and you just mentioned it. It took a couple innings for the runs to finally come, but you scored 3 in the third, 2 in the fourth, 4 in the fifth, and that's where you get the 9-0. I think it was a walk-off double from Madison Moak. They gave you ended up being the 9-0. That's where you get the last 2 from. But you look at this one, and probably the biggest hit in this one was AG's 2-run home run. That one, we say biggest hit because that one tied her for the career home run record here at Co-Lin. So, that was a big hit. We mentioned it on the stream, and it's just a moment where you feel good because you see the work. We all see it here, and we see the work that AG puts in, and to see that it's paying off and finding her way in the record books and those kind of things, it just feels like a great moment.
Yeah, and she's determined. She signed with an SEC school. She's going to Mississippi State next year. She's came here. She's broke records, and she wants to be the best Abby Grace that she can be for herself, but also for her team. And I know it's frustrating for her when people are constantly walking her, but when they do let her hit, she's ready to hit. So.
It makes me laugh every time we're on stream and teams start walking her, and you hear the dugout, and now even some of the fans starting to cheer, let her hit.
Let her hit.
But you look at this one, and it wasn't just AG that hit in this one. Madison Moak led the way with 3 hits. Kinley Ainsworth tied her with 3 hits. AG had a hit. Zykeria Cole had a hit. Emory Warren had a hit. Carson Huey had 1. Bailey Goodson had 2. Sarah Gray Smith. I mean, everybody you put in this one, it felt like was the right move because everybody was getting a hit in this one. I think you had everybody in the lineup except for 2 get hits. And when you get 13 hits in a game, it doesn't matter who you're playing. 13 hits is going to lead to some
good hitting
success.
And good pitching. That's right.
And you look at the pitching line. We mentioned it. No hits from Kara Biswell. She was 1 walk away from a perfect game in this one. Gave up a leadoff walk in the top of the second, then turned around and got 3 strikeouts after that. 8 strikeouts. So just a real dominant day out of Kara in this one. Something that, going into your next game, you look at that one and go, that's one you really can build on. Yes, it's against a team like Delta, but hey, a no-hitter is a no-hitter.
A no-hitter is a no-hitter.
And dominance is dominance.
And throughout the game, I knew that, and I really wanted to tell our defense, hey, go all out, don't let anything fall, because she's got a no-hitter going, but the old saying, you can't talk about it or you'll jinx it. So we just let it roll, and she got the no-hitter.
We got to the end of the broadcast, and I was going through the things, and I went, no runs, no hits. I was like, Kara just threw a no-hitter. Like, you're
did.
so keyed in when what is going on. Even I didn't realize it, so she didn't get the old broadcaster jinx this time. So, and then you look at game 2, again, a game where it took you a second to get going. You didn't score till the the second inning, my bad. You scored 3 in the second, 7 in the third. Highlighted by a big grand slam by Madison Moak. I joked with some of the fans afterwards. We did that little highlight video of Zacarias, and me and Corey were talking about that. I said, grand slams are a little bit of a rarity in both sports. I said, I've seen 2 in the last calendar year. I said, one of those was at the national tournament. And then we hit one in this one as well, too. I said, maybe I should talk about how rare they are more often.
Maybe so.
So, but you look at this one, again, a game where you just had 7 hits in this one, but still they were timely hits. 1 from Moak, 1 from AG, 2 from Kinley Ainsworth, 1 from Sarah Grace Smith, 1 from Carson Huey, and 1 from Emma Kate Femiano. But I think the bigger thing in this game, this was a game where you were able to really empty out the bench. Everybody got some playing time, be it in the field, running, hitting, pitching. You really got to empty the bench and play everybody in this one.
Yeah, and that's always positive. Those freshmen that need reps, when we can get them reps, we want to get them reps, get them ready for next year. But yeah, I thought it was a good, not as many hits, but I'm sure there were some walks and sack flies and sack bunts and things like that. So we executed well and we competed at the plate again.
Yeah, and then again, we mentioned it as we started this one, another game where you had a no-hitter. This one, you just allowed 2 base runners. So anytime in a doubleheader, when you allow just 3 base runners, it's going to be a good day for you. Keegan gets the start in this one, got the win. 4 innings, she had 1 walk, 1 hit by pitch. She was responsible for both of those runners. Another game where she had 6 strikeouts. And then you bring in Emily Richard. She pitched an inning of relief, had 2 strikeouts. So 2 strong outings from both your arms in this one.
Very good. And I was proud of Em for coming in because she doesn't get as many reps, but she does what she does. She gets up there and she spins the ball, and I was proud of her.
So, and now
and of course, Keegan does what she does, as always. So
again, we talked about it during East Central. It seemed like even in this one, every time she got a strikeout, she was just as fired up, striking out Delta as she was against East Central.
She brings
the fire.
And I love it. I love every bit of it.
So now we look ahead, and you look to what you've got coming this week, and I would say probably arguably one of your toughest tests all year coming in the form of the number 4 Lady Wildcats. You got to go to them. You got to play at their place. That makes it even. Anytime you got to go to that, got to go to Poplarville, it's a tough task. But this is a team that's really circled these games. They're looking forward to it. Y'all are looking forward to it. But what do you know about the Lady Wildcats coming into this one?
I know they have 2 good arms, and they've used them religiously all season long. They've got some returning hitters that are going to be very good and very tough. I think they're going to be scrappy defensively. It should be a tough matchup.
So, and then you look at Saturday, you'll come back home and you get to host the Lady Indians of Itawamba. And this is a team that early in the year, I think kind of struggled, especially, earlier in conference play was kind of up and down. But the last couple of weeks, they've pulled off some splits, gotten some wins, and really starting to build some confidence. What do you know about that bunch coming into Saturday?
I think they're going to be about the same ICC as they were last year. I think they have the same pitchers in the circles they did last year. So we'll be familiar with them. I'm excited to play at home. Anytime we play at home, I tell our girls we don't lose here. So we got to take care of business. But they're going to be good as well. The rest of our conference schedule,
right.
There's not going to be any gimme games. We just got to go and play our game and do what we do and hope for the best.
Right. And as we mentioned with Coach Chamblee, you look at after you play the Pearl River game, you look at it and go, you kind of get to breathe a little bit. Not saying anything is a gimme, like you said, but a lot of winnable games out front. And you look at it, you got about 3.5 weeks left in the season, and every goal that you've set is still right there in front of you. You're sitting first in conference right now. That's where you want to be when it all is said and done. But you're playing certainly coming off a national championship. You're playing for more than just a conference championship. You want that region, and you really want to go back to back as well too. But your thoughts overall, sitting here with about 3 weeks, how you feel about everything so far?
I feel pretty good. I feel like the first half of our conference schedule was harder than the second half is going to be. But, the bad thing about it is when you get to the end of the conference schedule, some of these teams are fighting just to get into the regional. So they're giving it everything they've got. I'm definitely not breathing easy because I'm still like, hey, every game matters. We have to take care of business because, yeah, we want to win the conference, but we also want to host the regional and win the regional and go back to the national national tournament and national championship. So yeah, we're just taking it game by game.
So nothing ever comes easy when you're
No.
playing in the SEC of JUCO softball. So lots of exciting things happening for the Lady Wolves. Again, another week where they go 4-0, sweep the number 9 Lady Warriors of East Central, sweep the Lady Trojans of Mississippi Delta. They'll go on the road Wednesday, April 3rd, face off against the number 4 Lady Wildcats of Pearl River. 3 and 5 start times for those. Pay attention to our social media. We'll have all the info for the broadcast. And then we'll host the Lady Indians of Itawamba on Saturday. 2 and 4 start times there. We'll have those games for you on stream. That'll be the next time we talk to you. I'm Kevin Kaiser, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.